This video is designed to briefly explain each of the paragraphs that appear in the TSSA Self-Service Storage Rental Agreement. As a manager, you need to have a good grasp of each section of the lease yourself so that you can explain it and answer any questions. We'll go over simple talking points to use when presenting the lease to potential tenants. There are many paragraphs, and the agreement is fairly long, with a lot of legal terminology and information. But if we break it down to its basic content, it's very straightforward. The most important points are easy to explain. Let's get started. Paragraph 1, tenant information. It's very important to gather contact information about the tenant. You'll need to be able to contact them in the future for a variety of reasons. Additionally, the tenant should supply the names of anyone authorized to enter the unit, as well as an emergency contact.
The tenant is the individual who signs the contract. Anyone else is an authorized visitor. Businesses that rent space are represented by the individual who signs the contract, but the business's name should always be used in the tenant blank.
Paragraph 2, tenant information. This paragraph reminds the tenant that they must keep their contact information up to date in writing, either by mail, fax, or email. It's important to ask the tenant if he or she is active or reserve military, since the special rules of the Service Members Civil Relief Act may apply. If they are, then have them fill out Form ADD-4. This form is available on the Gold Book CD. Paragraph 3, tenant's space. This paragraph clarifies the exact details of the actual space and the initial length of time the lease agreement will be in effect. This paragraph is also where the tenant will be issued access codes for the facility. If your tenant is renting multiple units or multiple spaces, list all unit or space numbers here. Paragraph 4, dollars and dates. This paragraph outlines the agreed upon rental rates, when the rent is due, and what happens when a tenant does not pay their rent on time. After that, it also outlines charges associated with non-compliance with the rental agreement. Please remember that all charges must be contractually agreed upon. It's important to review these fees with your tenant. Rental rates and due dates are fundamental to the self-storage process.
Some storage facilities offer incentives for renting multiple units. Make sure that all rates are clearly specified and explained in the contract. Clearly point out the details of the agreement and when any rent increases will occur. Tell them to call you for any confusion or uncertainty. The important point here is to make sure that the tenant understands this is a serious legal agreement and that there are monetary consequences for failing to comply.
Paragraph 5, payments and notices. In this section, the various methods of payment accepted by your storage facility should be listed. Refer to your company's policy as to which types of payments are accepted. Paragraph 6, special provisions. This paragraph is intended to provide flexibility to the rental agreement. If you have additional rules or want to change some terms, this special provisions paragraph can reference any addendum attached to the basic document. Paragraph 7, copies and attachments. Any necessary addenda or forms you've added to the lease are detailed in this section. Some common special provision addendum are vehicles, trailers, or boats, as well as other items such as insurance, move-out notice, Spanish versions of the lease, and so on. The signature block on page 1 is where both you and your tenant sign the document to accept the terms. Be sure to verify your tenant's driver license information as well as their email address. It's important to provide the facility's contact information, including phone number, to the tenant. The notice to tenant and release paragraph clarifies the issue of liability. Clearly explain that the facility has no liability for loss or damages. The storage facility is not responsible for any loss or damage unless caused by negligence. This is an opportunity to stress security. The tenant will need to provide an effective lock and should purchase property damage self-insurance if desired. Don't forget to have your tenant initial this very important paragraph. Paragraph 8, term and renewal. This section reiterates the term of the rental agreement and sets forth the month-to-month policy of renewing the agreement after the initial term is up. Paragraph 9, termination and move-out notice. Here we set forth the 10-day notice requirement for moving out of the rented space. How the lessor can terminate the rental agreement is also described. The facility can terminate the agreement with a 15-day notice by using Form E-1 on the Gold Book CD. Paragraph 10, move-out duties. This paragraph details the common sense actions for the tenant for move-out. Removal of the lock and broom cleaning are the most important items. Paragraph 11, rent and charges. Rent must be received on or before the date listed in paragraph 4B. It's important to clearly communicate to the tenant that there is no grace period. In short, they shouldn't be late with payments. The second part of this paragraph outlines in more detail 2 charges previously mentioned in paragraph 4. Failure to provide a change of address and failure to lock the unit properly. They must let you know about any changes of address, and they must lock the unit. Paragraph 12, no invoices. It's the tenant's responsibility to pay without any sort of notice from the storage facility. Tenants should remind themselves about upcoming payments. Facility owners are not required to send invoices, though it is fine to do so. Paragraph 13, no subletting or assignment. This paragraph states that the tenant cannot sublet or assign the space to someone else. Paragraph 14, no alterations. Tenants can't paint the exterior or interior of the space, nor do anything to the walls, floor, or ceiling. Paragraph 15, no warranties. The storage facility does not provide warranties. Specifically, the lessor does not promise safety or security of persons or property on the premises. The facility has no duty of safety or security under any circumstances. Of course, the tenant has the right to inspect the unit and the facility before signing the rental agreement. Paragraph 16, waiver. Storage facility employees do not have the authority to waive, amend, or terminate this agreement unless it's done in writing. Paragraph 6 should always outline special provisions, addendum, or supplemental rules. Paragraph 17, responsibility for damage. Tenants are responsible for any damage they cause to the unit or to any other property at the facility. Paragraph 18, lessor's right of entry. The circumstances under which a lessor can enter a unit are 1, with tenant's authority, 2, in an emergency or imminent danger situation, 3, if there is suspicion of criminal activity, 4, to relocate contents after casualty or for repair, and 5, to exercise a lien.
The laws of the city, county, and state apply for a storage facility just like they do anywhere else. Illegal activity at or in a storage facility is governed by local, state, and federal laws.
Paragraph 19, law enforcement directives. This paragraph states that storage facility personnel are allowed to open the space for law enforcement upon the presentation of a search warrant. Paragraph 20, no liability and release for loss or injury and insurance. The storage facility is not liable for any loss or damage. Tenants should not store property valued over $5,000 without express permission from the facility, and they should purchase insurance on their property. The lessor legally cannot carry insurance on the contents of tenant space.
The storage facility is generally blameless for loss of unit contents. Only the tenant can carry insurance on the contents.
Paragraph 21, rules. This is a blanket agreement by the tenant to follow all rules set forth by the lessor. Tenants should pay attention to all policies while on the premises. In other words, don't break the rules. Paragraph 22, lien. The storage facility has a priority lien on all property in the tenant's space to secure payment of all monies due and unpaid by the tenant. The lien is expressly allowed by the state property code. The lessor can sell the contents of the unit to pay for any debts owed by the tenant.
Under Chapter 59 of the Texas Property Code, the lessor has a lien on all property in the tenant's space. This lien is used to secure payment of all monies due and unpaid by the tenant.
Paragraph 23, default by tenant. This paragraph defines what default means. Default is failure to comply with the terms in the contract and is a legal violation with consequences spelled out. Paragraph 24, lessor's remedies. Here we explain what happens after the tenant is declared in default. This section outlines how the lessor is protected by the property code as they go about obtaining the money they're owed. The lessor can deny access to the storage unit and use all legal means necessary to collect money owed by the tenant.
Seizing a unit is the worst-case scenario for tenants. If a tenant defaults, the lessor has the legal right to a number of remedies, including locking a tenant's space and denying access. The police may be called if a tenant tries to illegally enter the storage facility or a seized storage unit.
Paragraph 25, redemption. Tenants may redeem their property by paying all the money due up until bids are accepted at a foreclosure sale. Paragraph 26, abandonment. This paragraph defines what it means to abandon a unit. There are several components to a true abandonment. In order to qualify as abandoned, the unit must contain nothing of value to the ordinary person, in addition to being delinquent on amounts due and having the lock removed by the tenant or you in the process of a lien foreclosure. Paragraph 27, indemnity and subrogation. The tenant releases lessor from all liability for all claims covered by tenant's insurance. Paragraph 28, refunds. However, the tenant is liable for rent for the remainder of the month of move-out or for 10 days after move-out, whichever is longer. Paragraph 29, TSSA membership. This rental agreement is for TSSA members only. This paragraph clearly states that lessor must be a member of the Texas Self-Storage Association at the time of the signing of the agreement. If the business using this lease is not a TSSA member, it is voidable at tenant's option. Paragraph 30, changes in rules or agreement. This paragraph sets forth how the lessor can change rules or rates with proper notice to the tenant. Rules and rates can be changed at any time, but the lessor must notify the tenant. Paragraph 31, miscellaneous. This paragraph is an extended statement that denies any oral promises made and adds some legal fine points to the agreement's details. For the tenant, time is of the essence, and Texas laws apply. Paragraph 32, rent policies. This paragraph reiterates previous points about rental policies. The lessor can lock the tenant out of the unit and take other actions if rent is delinquent. Paragraph 33, change of tenant's address, phone number, email. This paragraph reiterates the importance of change of address notices from the tenant. The lessor must be able to contact the tenant at any time. Paragraph 34, hours of operation and rule changes. Here we cover office hours and access to the facility, which are subject to change. Paragraph 35, tenant responsible for locks, insurance, and losses. This paragraph reiterates previously discussed points about locks, insurance, and losses. It's up to the tenant to secure and insure the contents of the storage unit. Paragraph 36, storage rules. This sets forth in detail the activities that are forbidden in the storage unit and the items not allowed for storage. Most of these points concern safety issues and ensure that the storage unit's purpose is clearly understood. The units are for storage of property alone. Paragraph 37, ground rules. This concerns activity on the premises of the storage facility. Most of the rules are common courtesy reminders, such as being mindful of common areas and courteous to other tenants. Paragraph 38, refunds and move-outs. This spells out rules for move-out procedure and final refunds. Units should be vacated in a timely manner and left broom clean and ready for the next tenant. The tenant will be liable for damages, cleaning charges, and disposal costs should they fail to remove all contents from the space. It really boils down to two big points. Storage facility tenants must pay on time and secure the contents of their unit. A self-storage facility is a business with a lot of rules. As self-storage owners and managers, you can inform your tenants about how it really is, not how they assume it is. This program has been an overview of the main points of the TSSA rental agreement. There are some items that have not been covered in this video, so please be sure to read the lease thoroughly. If you have any further questions about the TSSA lease, contact the Texas Self-Storage Association.